Welcome everyone to Cocktail History. I'm Stephanie. This is Risha. We're with the Freeborn County Historical Museum, Library and Village. And today we're featuring the Bijou.
And anybody that I know from China, it's not Bijou. That's a very strong, terrible tasting drink that's very popular in China.
No, Bijou is a French word for jewel or trinket. Yes. The Bijou was created by, I love this, the father of modern bartending, Harry Johnson. He invented the drink in the 1890s. And we're sticking with his original recipe.
Yeah.
There's variations that have come along. I guess about 1980, they started kind of playing with it a little bit, I think, is what in the 80s.
Sure. Kind of when it was rediscovered almost.
Yeah,
probably.
when it was rediscovered. Okay. He named it for the colors of jewels represented by the liquors. So clear, even though this looks blue, it's a clear gin for diamond, sweet vermouth, which is red for ruby, and chartreuse, which is green for emerald, although not very emerald colored.
And I always thought that chartreuse was like a red maroony color, which is apparently something that goes along with the Mandela effect, which is a phenomenon where people, it's like a group of people that have this shared false memory. It's something that false memories come from, like you and I were talking about earlier, probably just from misinformation that just spread.
She quizzed me on this earlier. She walks into my office and she said, "What color is chartreuse?" I said, "Green."
I was like, I thought it was like a red maroon. But yeah, if you want to know more about the Mandela effect, you can research that.
It's interesting.
It is interesting.
It was a little interesting, although I do think it's more misinformation than
the multiple universes.
Multiple
crossing.
universe.
Yeah.
Anyway, digressing there a little bit. So, unlike the Manhattan and the Martini, the Bijou disappeared after Prohibition. Poof, gone. And it was rediscovered, again, I love this, by the king of cocktails. Not the father of modern bartending, but the king of cocktails, Dale DeGroff. And I don't know if that's a self-given title or not, but I thought it was kind of a fun title to get. He stumbled on the recipe in Harry Johnson's book, and he's the one who kind of mixed it up a little bit on the different ingredients. So eventually, though, his recipe then became the standard recipe. But we're going back to 1890.
Right, which starts with
Equal parts of gin, sweet vermouth, and chartreuse. So I think we should mix it two separate, so we get the stirring down.
Sure.
So we're gonna go with an ounce of each. So it's an ounce of gin, an ounce of the sweet vermouth, and an ounce of chartreuse. Now, some people might say, what is chartreuse anyway?
Yes. What is it?
Chartreuse. It's actually kind of fascinating. It's an herbal liqueur made by French monks since the mid-1700s. The alcohol is aged with a secret blend of 130 plants, and you can get it in green or yellow. I thought that was
So it's
interesting.
like an herbal mixture. Does that mean it's also medicinal, like our juniper gin?
Well, I'm kind of thinking, if monks started mixing this in the 1700s and it's herbal, I would assume, but I didn't find anything that said it is medicinal, but
Could be.
And then vermouth, of course, is a fortified wine, and what that means is the liquor is added to it to stabilize it. So those are the two. So you got that mixed?
Yes.
Or you got
One
that?
of each.
So then we put in, fill that like a handful of ice in there. Did you wash your hands?
No. Pause. And unpause.
Unpause.
More?
I think you can do a couple more in there, and then we're gonna stir it for like 30 seconds. Well, so then you stir that for 30 seconds. It's interesting as we started talking about the Bijou and jewels, Rich's face lit up, kind of like it just did there, in that we have a unique piece of jewelry,
Mm-hmm. Do you want to keep stirring and I can show it?
which is hair art.
It's so cool. I was excited. I have to get my fancy gloves on because this is archival and it's human hair, so it's fragile.
So while she's preparing here, I'm also going to add a dash of orange bitters to this.
I was very excited about this piece when it came in. It came in on my birthday, so I was like, this is a birthday present to me. But I don't know how well you can see it. This is human hair in like a bracelet or choker. Probably a bracelet because I believe it was worn by one of her husbands. Her name is Louisa Getty.
And she's kind of an interesting gal. Had 8 children. And at the time of her death, 37 grandchildren and 52 great-grandchildren. So then we're gonna strain this. Oh, goodness sakes. Well, that's a full drink there. Wow. And we'll get rid of this and mix the second one.
Cool.
Or should we split that? That's a little.
That is a lot. We could split
Let's
it.
split that.
If we like it a lot, we can just make another.
All right.
Ooh.
There's the Chartreuse. Or there's the Bijou, sorry.
Cool.
And you can smell the herbs. It is actually a kind of a powerful smelling beverage.
Should we
All
try
right,
it?
let's try. Cheers. You have hair in your hand.
Not from that though. Ew, what?
Huh. That's actually really good. I was expecting to go ew. It's kind of sweet.
Mm-hmm. It's a nice mixture. I like that.
Yeah. It's a little fruity. It's a little herby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Louisa Getty, we can go back to her.
Yes.
She was in Conger, Freeborn County here, for the last 30 years of her life. But she was born in Pommern, Germany. And her husband, Wilhelm, which actually it was Charles Johnson or something, Wilhelm? What was his, two middle names? Frederick.
Yep.
Christian Frederick Wilhelm
Wilhelm
Schmidt. He went by Wilhelm. He was also born in Pommern. But her parents are listed as being born in Pomerania, which Pommern was first a Prussian province called Pomeranian. From Pomerania. That's a tongue twister.
That is it. Say that fast 5 times.
Oh my,
3
no,
times.
thank you. So she came from the place that was the original, like the birthplace of the Pomeranian dog.
Oh.
I thought that was really
Interesting.
Cute. That was fun.
You hadn't shared that earlier.
I
That
didn't.
is interesting.
Yeah. I wanted to surprise you. with
Little
that one.
little yippy Pomeranians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The little ones that are fluffy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. His name, Christian Frederick Wilhelm Schmidt. You could almost sing that with John Jacob
I was gonna say
Jingleheimer
that.
Schmidt.
Yeah.
That's what came to my mind when we were
funny.
running through that. Jingleheimer
Oh
Schmidt.
my goodness. But then also going a little bit to that piece of jewelry that we have of hers, that hair art, which I think is fascinating, though a lot of people think it's really gross.
That's a little weird.
It was something that became very popular with Queen Elizabeth. Like, she was very well known for her mourning rituals, especially after her husband, Prince Albert, died. She was the one who made, I could go on and on about Victorian funeral practices. That was one of my best papers in college, and I love it. It's fascinating.
Stay tuned. She may be doing a presentation sometime down the road.
Ooh. Yes. But anyways, I can very, very easily digress into a very full whole of that. However, I'm going to shorten it a little bit. In 1860s is when hair art became popular in the United States. And so that's probably where hers came from, just a little bit after that.
Sure.
And the piece that was on there, that the little circle that had the moon and the star, it has 3 remaining diamonds from the 8 that were there. It opens into a locket which has a picture of her. And oftentimes hair art had lockets.
So I have a question.
Yes.
8 diamonds.
Mm-hmm.
She had 8 children.
Oh my goodness, that's probably why.
Sure.
And there were 3 on the half moon and 1 on a sun. So is it? I mean, there were 7 on the half moon
And 1
and
on the sun.
So it could be her 7 children from her first marriage,
Right.
and then the 1 from her second.
That's very interesting.
I hadn't thought of that.
Because yes, after Wilhelm passed away,
Mhm.
she then married George William Getty,
Mm-hmm.
and they had 1 child. So she got married at 17, had 7 children, and got married at 31, and then had an additional child.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I'm going to guess those diamonds were for the children.
I hadn't even thought of that.
Mhm.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
See, now I like the piece better, even though it's hair.
Yeah, but it's got a little sentimentality to it.
Yeah. So you didn't talk about, like, where does the hair come from?
The hair came from her.
But I mean,
per se.
typically when people make hair art, where do they get the hair?
It depends on the situation. This, I'm guessing, was probably cut from her hair just because it isn't as frayed as some
Mhm.
other ones can be. A lot of times women during the Victorian era would, when they would brush their hair, they had special little boxes called like little hair boxes that they would place that hair that was off of the hairbrush. A lot of times women also, when they died, would have their hair cut after they were, during the burial process, like before they were in the coffin, but like after, I guess, a showing, if that was possible
Sure.
at the time, which embalming came quite a bit later on too. They would be cut off of their corpse and then made into, a lot of times, wreaths. I keep saying a lot.
Oh, that's
but
interesting.
Wreaths were big. If you see a nice, like, brown or blonde looking wreath in an old home, likely it's hair art.
And how big of a wreath typically? Like you're talking a
Kind of small
so
framed.
okay,
Framed
interesting.
usually. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. We also have other jewels to show.
We do. Yes,
Um,
these are in boxes. Little.
You might have to open the lid. Maybe you were planning to do that, at
Yep.
least on one of them. Some of you probably will recognize these. I know I did. They are the commemorative pins from Wilson's that
Yes.
Wilson and Company awarded to its employees for their work anniversaries. And I believe they had a diamond, an emerald, a ruby, and a sapphire.
Yes.
And-
Here's the ruby one.
I'm not sure which marked first. I think they did. I'm not even going to try to guess on what years of the anniversary. I know my dad had a ruby, a sapphire, and a diamond for his time at.
I know the plain
Wilson's.
gold one we have is 10 years, but I'm not sure
Okay.
about the other ones.
I wonder if it went 10, 20, 30, 40 maybe.
Oh, could be.
Could be.
The ones that we have here are from the Light family, from Marilyn and Roger Light, who was in the Wilson's packing
Mhm.
plant a lot. They
Probably
were
at the
very
same time that
prominent.
my dad was.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My mom got creative with us one Christmas, and I'm not going to say with us. My mom got creative one Christmas and took the diamond out of my dad's Wilson pin and had it placed in a ring for me. I was probably 13 at the time.
That's sweet.
I just remember my younger sister, who was about 3 years younger, had a bit of a meltdown on Christmas Eve. And a couple years later, she got the sapphire in a ring. Probably about 3 years later, I think she had to be 13. So
Sure.
I don't know if she still has hers, but I actually just gave mine to my 13-year-old granddaughter this year. So yeah, it's been, I've held on to it for quite some time. I wore it daily until I was probably in my 30s. So yeah, it's kind of a fun way to take that commemorative jewel and
Yeah.
pass it on.
Well, and that's kind of a sweet thing I think they did too at the company to
Yes,
give them that.
yes.
That was really nice.
We do have a really great display from Wilson and Company, as well as Farmstead, and kind of talking about the meatpacking industry here in Albert Lea, which started with the Brunden.
Yep.
That's a hard one for me. And that was back in 18.
They were really early.
1840s or 50s,
Yeah.
I believe.
They were probably one of the like first.
They were the
people
first one here,
yeah.
the first meat packing
Yeah.
here in Freeborn County. And we are in the midst of conversations on how the new business exhibit will look here at the museum and how we will feature the meat packing industry. So that's something that we will be incorporating here in the next 6 months, 9 months.
And we have one of their big toolboxes on the timeline.
We do.
that we're
Yep.
doing.
Yes. So they are. All of this information is part of our Freeborn County timeline, which is going to be a 26-foot by 3-foot timeline of things here in Albert Lee, starting in 1835, when Albert Miller Lee came with the Dragoons and actually surveyed and mapped out
the area.
Yeah. So that's kind of fun. Trying to think, what else do we have? I thought there was something else we were talking about here with.
Well, because the jewelry was Victorian times, we were going to talk a little bit about our Victorian home,
Oh,
how
yes.
that's coming out. And I know Linda has told me that we do have a hair wreath somewhere.
Oh,
It's somewhere.
well,
It got moved around with all of the moving that happened, like even before you came, like with the building extension.
yes.
And I don't know where it is, but that would be something that would be in a parlor
So we
or
should
bedroom.
clarify, since we've put that out there. One of the things, we have just received a grant through the Minnesota Historical Society's grant writing program that is going to assist us in getting our accession sheets entered into our software program, which is Past Perfect. And what that does is lists out the donor, the item, the description, the measurements, the location. So we know that the collection items are here in the museum. We just have no way of typing it into our computer to say, oh, that is in box X on shelf Y in row 1 of collections 1. So that's something we will be working on diligently over the next year. We have a volunteer lined up to start. We are going to be hiring a contractor with our grant funding, and crossing our fingers, we will be pounding that out.
Yeah, and that's actually been something I've been enjoying doing, is putting in the location so that I can go back and say, I know where this is.
Right.
This is so nice. Yeah.
And the location, if it's an exhibit, if it's a village building, no matter where it's located, that will be entered in to our Past Perfect program. So that, in all honesty, if you as a family member were to come in and say, I want to see Louise Getty's hair art bracelet, we would be able to take that out, show it to you, and with little or no difficulty.
Right.
Yeah, so that is something we are working on as we are working on so many other things. Yeah. We did our annual meeting last night, and one of the things we realized as we were talking in the annual meeting, which is on our website if anybody's interested, we have in the last year redone or created 16 new exhibits. Although when I counted today, I had missed a couple, so we actually have 18 exhibits, 19 exhibits that we have either completely redone or have created as new exhibits, which, 2020 was quite the year, and we really took advantage of closures and everything. So that has actually been really great. One of those exhibits was immigration, which I'm mentioning because Louise was an immigrant from Germany. One is our horology, although that doesn't really tie to gems or jewels, but we might have a watch or two that has a little gem in it. A horology shop is the timekeeper shop, so lots of clocks and that kind of thing. One that we're starting is our Victorian home.
Yes.
Which we're kind of excited to get done. That one will go in as soon as we can move the hotel items into hotels of Freeborn County. So that's also kind of an exciting one. But anyway, that's kind of what we've been working on this week. Stay tuned for Risha's hair art presentation that maybe we can open our doors this fall and offer, or with the Victorian home. That could be kind of a fun Victorian home intro. Yeah, so I guess cheers everybody. Cheers. This one is one of my favorites.
It's good.
Yeah, so try this one at home. You'll have fun with this one. Thanks so much. We'll see you next week.